For centuries, a number has haunted humanity's imagination. A chilling cipher whispered in ancient texts, a stark warning of a coming darkness. We see it everywhere, hidden in plain sight in the digital tapestry of our modern world, in the subtle patterns that govern our commerce and our very lives. 666, the number of the beast, the mark, symbol of ultimate control, of a final, terrifying allegiance to a power beyond human comprehension. And for generations, scholars, theologians, and everyday people have grappled with its true meaning. Is it a literal mark, a microchip, a global identification system? Are we living in the very shadow of its impending arrival? As the world hurtles toward an uncertain future, as global events unfold with an almost prophetic precision, we are compelled to ask, is the stage being set? Is the final act of human history about to begin? Today, we will confront the chilling reality of 666. Look at the signs, the warnings, the whispers across time, and prepare ourselves for what's to come. Or will we? For generations, the number 666 has been a source of fascination, fear, and endless speculation. And if you've been paying attention to popular culture, to certain corners of religious commentary, you've probably encountered a very specific narrative. A narrative that paints a vivid, terrifying picture of a future where this number becomes a literal, tangible mark. A mark imposed by a global power, a sinister figure forcing humanity into a final choice. And it's easy to get swept up in that narrative. The idea of a literal mark, a physical manifestation of allegiance, ties in perfectly with our anxieties about technology, globalism, and political control. It makes for compelling movies, thrilling novels, and some truly captivating YouTube videos. But here's the thing, what if we've been looking at it all wrong? What if the popular understanding of 666, the one that fills us with dread about microchips and futuristic barcodes, is actually a profound misunderstanding of what the ancient text was trying to communicate? To truly understand the number 666, we need to do something radical. We need to go back, not to the headlines of today, not to the latest conspiracy theory, but to the very world in which the book of Revelation was written. We're talking about the 1st century AD, the time of immense political upheaval, brutal persecution, a burgeoning new faith, Christianity, of course, struggling to survive under the iron fist of the Roman Empire. The Apostle John, exiled on the island of Patmos, receives these apocalyptic visions. But it's crucial to remember who he was writing to. He wasn't writing to us, 21st century Christians. He was writing to 7 specific churches, named in the first chapter in Asia Minor. Churches facing real, immediate threats to their lives. They understood the coded language of prophecy because they lived under its shadow. Now imagine you're a Christian in Ephesus or Smyrna. You're being pressured to worship the emperor as God. You're ostracized, discriminated against, perhaps even facing martyrdom if you refuse. How would you communicate a message of hope, a message of resistance against this oppressive power without directly naming names and inviting further wrath? You'd use symbolism or codes, which brings us to the number 666. It's not a random number, it's not a future technology, it's a prime example of a literary device known as gematria. Gematria is an ancient system where letters in an alphabet correspond to numerical values. It was common in both Jewish and Greek cultures. Think of it like a sophisticated word puzzle. And for those in the 1st century, When they saw 666, their minds would have immediately gone to one figure: the beast, the ultimate persecutor of the church. If you take the name of the Roman emperor at the time, the one responsible for the horrific persecution of the church, the one who saw himself as a god, Nero Caesar, and if you transliterate that into Hebrew, the language of many of John's readers, it looks like this: Neron Caesar. If you add those values up, 50 plus 200 plus 6 plus 50 plus 100 plus 60 plus 200 equals 666. For the persecuted Christians reading Revelation, this wasn't some far-off futuristic prophecy. It was a message of immediate relevance. The beast wasn't a computer or a barcode. The beast was the Roman Empire. And the number 666 was the code for its tyrannical head, Nero Caesar. John was telling them, the enemy you face is powerful, but God sees his name and his end is assured. The text itself tells us it's the number of a man, not a technology, not a system, but a man. And that man, to the first century audience, was unequivocally Nero. So if the original meaning was so clear, why the modern obsession with barcodes, microchips, and an ominous future? It comes down to a fundamental shift in how people approach prophecy. The modern premillennial view often takes a very literal approach to these highly symbolic texts. They project every symbol onto contemporary events, trying to fulfill the prophecy in their own lifetime. But when we treat ancient apocalyptic literature, which is highly symbolic by nature, as a literal newspaper clipping of the future, we miss the point of it. We miss the powerful message John intended for his suffering audience. If 666 was a barcode in the 1970s, or a computer system in the 1990s, or a digital currency today, then John's message offered zero comfort or warning to the people who were actually being killed for their faith in the first century. The interpretation must, first and foremost, be meaningful to the original audience. The enduring lesson of 666 is not about a future mark on your hand. It's about a past choice, the choice between worshiping the state, the power, the money, the beast of the empire, or remaining faithful to God. The mark of the beast was the social, political, and economic pressure to conform to Rome's idolatry. The mark of the beast is an ancient symbol for the temptation to compromise one's integrity for economic or political gain. The number 7 in the Bible is completeness, divinity. The number 6 is a number of man, falling short of the divine ideal. 666 is the ultimate declaration of human rebellion. It represents the state of being triple imperfect, man proclaiming his own divinity, Nero, the man who demanded worship, the empire that demanded allegiance to their god.